This guy, Grisha, has some unique hobbies. When he sees a girl getting off her horse, he spots what looks like red panties. Oh my God, that's something. But right away, he realizes something's off. He dashes over. How do you have those panties? That's a modern thong. Let me see. The girl thinks she's meeting a pervert and freezes in fear. Next thing she knows, Grisha knocks her down and lifts her skirt. He's totally disappointed. She's not wearing any panties at all. His friend yanks him back. Are you crazy? Grisha doesn't care. Turns out he was wrong about the red panties. But what he doesn't know is that there's actually a pair of red thong panties under the haystack. What's going on here? Up on the windmill in the distance, his rich dad is scared out of his wits. He almost got caught. Turns out, a Russian billionaire aiming to reform his spoiled son, Grisha, tracks down a famous horror movie director. He shells out $1 billion to hire a film crew and build this huge, super realistic village. The plan is to let Grisha experience a real, lifetime travel. They use a tranquilizer gun to knock him out. When Grisha wakes up, he's a slave in a landlord's household. Before he can even process it, the overseer grabs him, dragging him out while cursing. He's in trouble for not bridling the horse on time and gets whipped hard. To make it look real, it's a genuine whip. This village is a set built to look like it did 200 years ago. You think that's a rotten apple? No, it's got a camera inside. Cameras are hidden in tree trunks, haystacks, even inside a goat's bones. All the villagers are professional actors. They do whatever the director tells them, even for kissing scenes and sex scenes. The goal is to make Grisha believe he's traveled back to the Tsarist era in the 19th century. Grisha may be a bit of a brat, but he's not stupid. He figures this is a reality show and tells the villagers to cut the act. Give me my phone. I want to go home. When they feign ignorance, asking, "Phone? What's that?" "Zrinya," he retorts. "Oh, come on, stop acting. Keep it up. I'm out of here." But as he goes, he's confused. If it's a reality show, where are the camera crews? Then he sees a real bear at the village entrance. Now he starts to believe it. Damn it, he really has time traveled. Soon he gets caught and dragged back. For the crime of a slave trying to escape, he's being taken to the execution ground to be beheaded. To make Grisha fully believe it's 1860, they have to make the act even more convincing. So, on the way to the execution ground, the crew stages a scene where a slave has his hand chopped off. Grisha is terrified. Then he's put on the gallows, with a noose around his neck, about to be hanged. Grisha yells, "My dad is Hunter Biden. You wouldn't dare touch me. Don't care who your dad is. You're a goner today." Seeing that his dad's name doesn't work, he's almost peeing his pants. Of course, as the main character, the director isn't gonna let him die. At the last moment, a girl in a red dress, Anastasia, rides up on a horse. She's the landlord's daughter and the female lead arranged by the crew. Her character is kind and gentle. The script says she saves Grisha, becomes his girlfriend, and there are even sex scenes in the plot. Maybe they'll have a kid later as the story goes. Anastasia says it's her coming of age day, and she doesn't want anyone to die on this special day. The landlord, being a doting father, immediately pardons all the prisoners. Just like that, Grisha is set free. And he really did pee his pants. He doesn't notice an eagle flying overhead. But it's not a real eagle, it's a drone. The drone flies into a windmill in the distance. Inside the windmill is a modern control center, the nerve center of the whole village. Every villager has a spy-style earpiece. The director and the crew are here, using radios to direct the actors. And as a backup, they've got a sniper on standby. If there's any risk of the truth slipping out, they'll knock Grisha out with a tranquilizer. Not far from the windmill, there's an actor's lounge. When the actors aren't filming, they come here to chat and rehearse their lines. They can't say anything related to modern times. Even though Grisha was spared, he still has to work as a slave in the stable. At night, he sleeps in the stinky stable. Thinking about what happened today, he's finally convinced he's time traveled. He decides to survive and find a way back. But the next day at breakfast, he's about to give up. "You're feeding me like a pig. Get me some meat." "There's meat. Here, eat." Since Grisha time traveled to this 200-year-old village, he's not only got food issues but also toilet problems. There's no toilet paper, just grass or leaves to wipe his butt with. He always feels like someone's watching him, and it's creeping him out. Well, someone is watching him. To prevent any mistakes, the director's team is keeping an eye on him 24/7, even when he's using the toilet. In the following days, Grisha gets beaten and scolded by the overseer for slacking off or being inefficient at work. You know, Grisha is used to being the one who bullies others. He's never been on the receiving end like this. he's really frustrated. The director deems it's high time for the female lead, Anastasia, to make her entrance. According to the script, she's to bump into Grisha, bewitch him into falling head over heels, tie the knot, and start a family, thus transforming Grisha into a devoted partner. Before, Grisha used to engage in promiscuous behavior, changing girlfriends every day. His father was fed up with such conduct, so the crew set up this part of the plot to change him. One day, the beautiful Anastasia is crying by the haystack, trying to get Grisha's attention. "What's wrong? My dad's gonna marry me off to an 80-year-old man." The director thought Grisha would feel sorry for her, hug her, and comfort her. But Grisha says, "Is the old guy rich? If he is, what are you crying for? Marry him. In a few years, when he passes away, all his money will be yours." Then he walks away. The director and the billionaire are like, "What a heartless guy. He's not following the script at all." One day, Grisha steals a chicken. Soon, he eats the whole chicken, not sharing a single bite with his companion. The director sees this as a chance to awaken his conscience, so he stays up all night writing a new script. The next day, the overseer notices the chicken is missing. He asks, "Who's the culprit?" Seeing no one answers, he says, "I'm giving you two options. Admit willingly and get only 10 lashes, or I'll pick a scapegoat for 50 lashes." In this test of conscience, Grisha chooses to be selfish. The overseer then drags away one of his companions. The companion is whipped until his skin is torn, but he doesn't give up Grisha. Having been used to getting his way with a bunch of lackeys willing to take the rap for money, he not only feels no guilt, but also shows a look of disgust. The billionaire is completely furious. He thinks his son is beyond redemption and tells the director to end this farce. However, at this moment, something unexpected happens. When the girl, Liza, gets off her horse, her skirt flips up by accident. Grisha sees her wearing red panties. At first he shows a perverted smile, but then he suddenly realizes something's wrong. In this village from 200 years ago, a modern thong has appeared. Grisha rushes over to take a closer look. The director's team is stunned. This could blow the cover. But when they lift Liza's skirt, there's nothing there. Turns out Liza was quick enough to take off her panties and hide them in the haystack. Grisha thinks he's so eager to go home that he's having hallucinations. After coming to his senses, he feels sorry for his rude behavior.
Zachowałem się jak...
This is the first time Grisha has ever apologized to someone. His billionaire father is in tears watching this. He sees that there's still hope for his son. Liza accepts Grisha's apology. To lighten the mood, she says, "I'll never be able to get married after you saw me like that, so you have to marry me." It was meant as a joke, but Grisha takes it seriously. From that day forward, he became a constant presence by Liza's side whenever possible. This deviation from the script was a major headache, as Anastasia was initially slated to be the leading lady. To get Grisha back on track, the director adds another scene. To resist marrying the 80-year-old man, Anastasia jumps into the river right in front of Grisha. The plot is going smoothly. Grisha jumps into the river and saves her, then puts her on a carriage. Next is the sex scene the director has arranged. Anastasia tries her best to seduce Grisha. She thinks with her charm she can easily win him over, but Grisha has seen it all. He just closes the door and leaves. He's only interested in Liza now. There's no choice. The director has to rewrite the script and make Liza, who was just a minor character, the female lead. So with Grisha's crazy pursuit, Liza becomes his girlfriend. During their passionate love period, the director thinks the time is right to introduce a side plot. One day, the landlord calls Grisha over, treats him to a good meal and drinks. After they're full, the landlord says, "My son hit someone with his horse in the city. I need a slave to take the whipping punishment. You seem suitable." The Tsarist era 200 years ago was terrifying. The landlord wants a slave to take the blame. The landlord says, "Afterward, I'll set you free, give you a house, and betroth Liza to you." Seeing Grisha is still hesitating, the landlord throws out another condition. Huh? Watermelon? Taking the blame is something I'm good at. Actually, Grisha isn't doing it for these benefits. Instead, he thinks of his past self. When he was drag racing and hit someone, he also forced and bribed his lackeys to take the blame for him. He knows that if he doesn't agree today, he won't be able to live a normal life in the future. As the saying goes, karma. Now it's his turn to be the scapegoat. When his companion goes back to the room, he finds half a watermelon left for him. This time, Grisha has learned to share. Soon, the magistrate arrives at the village and immediately gives Grisha a whipping 20 times. With each lash, Grisha grimaces in pain, and with each lash, it's a kind of baptism for him. His past deeds deserve this punishment. Although all this is arranged by his billionaire father, the father still can't bear to watch. The next day, Grisha goes to the landlord's house to get the letter of manumission. But unexpectedly, the landlord's son breaks his promise. Not only does he not give the letter, but he also humiliates Grisha and even spits on him. I have to say, professional actors are really something. Their acting skills are amazing. It makes the audience in front of the screen extremely angry, typical of his character. He has always been the type who bullies the weak and kowtows to the strong. However, that night as he and Liza were lying on the grass chatting, when he mentions being humiliated by the landlord's son that day, he says he clenched his fists and almost punched him, but he didn't. Because when he looked at the landlord's son's face, he as if saw his once stubborn self. The billionaire father is very excited. Finally, this kid is starting to reflect. The billionaire's son is actually a slave in the village. Grisha works hard. Whenever he finishes his work early, he goes on dates with Liza. They go boating together, steal food together, and take walks together. One day, Grisha opens up to Liza. His mother passed away when he was young, and his father, being consumed by his work to make money, neglected him, which made him cynical. Liza pretends not to understand on the surface. What do you mean by time travel? But her view of Grisha has changed. At first, she looked down on Grisha thinking he was a typical playboy. But after these days of getting along, she finds herself developing real feelings for him. Seeing this, the director's team thinks it's time to push the plot to a climax. One day, a group of Mongolian soldiers break into the village. They want to take the most beautiful girl in the village away, or they'll massacre the village. They randomly grab a girl, but they always respect the brave. As long as someone dares to stand up and fight them one-on-one, the girl will be released, regardless of the outcome. So the girl's father bravely steps forward, but he's defeated quickly and beheaded. Of course, it's a prop head using a special angle. Next, it's Liza's turn. The Mongolian soldiers grab Liza. Everyone looks at Grisha. This part is designed to change his cowardly and bully, like nature. If he passes this test this time, travel drama will end perfectly. But looking at his beloved Liza, and thinking about the old father who was beheaded just now, Grisha says, "Why are you all looking at me? I don't even know her well." Then he turns and walks away. He chooses to be cowardly again. Liza is completely disappointed. The billionaire also feels extremely ashamed and tells the sniper to immediately knock out this coward and end this time travel experience. But something unexpected happens to everyone. Grisha rides a horse and takes Liza with him, galloping across the grassland and through the forest. They come to a gas station. Are you going to refuel the horse with gas or grass? Before they can react, the chasing sniper shoots a tranquilizer at him. When Grisha wakes up, his father tells him that he had a car accident and was in a coma for 3 months. Grisha thinks that time travel was just a dream. Although it was a dream, he has indeed changed. He's no longer a jerk or arrogant, but having lost Liza, he has no interest in any woman. He doesn't even have the slightest enthusiasm when he goes to his favorite bar, until one day he sees familiar faces. It's the landlord's son and Anastasia from his dream. Seeing Grisha's sorry state, they can't bear it and tell him the truth. Then they take him to a horse ranch. There, Grisha sees Liza, whom he has been longing for.
Значит,
Я скучала.
At the end of the story, the village that was used to reform Grisha is used again to change other rebellious children. Grisha takes on the role of a henchman in it. This film is called Son of Rich. As the saying goes, it's easy to change the mountains and rivers, but hard to change one's nature. It's difficult to change a person, and even more difficult to change their bad habits. But with the love of parents and a partner, it won't be that hard to change a person. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.